Hey guys, welcome back to the 429 podcast. Here with another Techcast Friday. I'm 4.
Two.
And I'm 9.
And welcome back to another episode. Excited, got some cool news for you today. First things first, we'd appreciate if you go check us out on our website, the429podcast.com. Follow us on social media and whatnot at the 429 podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We look forward to hearing from you guys, hearing your feedback, maybe hearing about what stories you like from this week, or maybe we missed something you can let us know about. That'd be pretty cool.
And we also want to thank you guys for all your support. I know we just shifted our platform a little bit away from the normal 1 hour episodes we release on the Mondays to just Techcast for now, but we're appreciating all the support messages you guys are sending. Please, for our friends out in the United States, we're watching the elections closely as well. So, good luck with all of that. But, with that to it, I think 4, right? I think we have an awesome fan base. Let's keep them hyped up with what we got this week for Techcast. Why don't you kick it off?
All right. Well, I'll start it with something pretty interesting that I think you guys are going to like a lot. And I know that some of our fans happen to like this a lot also.
Hit us with it.
We'd hinted towards this a little bit in some of our previous episodes and Techcasts. And drum roll, please, there's finally a release date for it. Among Us updates. Bam!
Oh,
What?
okay. I'm excited. I'm listening.
Yeah.
So we're talking about some pretty cool updates, right? We're talking about, one, the account system. And this is going to be really good.
Finally. I lost all
reporting-
my data.
Reporting toxic players, reporting hackers. This is set to arrive as early as December, right? So we can see the account system in Among Us be deployed before end of year, which I think is pretty freaking outstanding.
All you Christmas noobs out there, you're going down.
Yeah, absolutely. Long story short, we might find out about Among Us and get an update before we know who the next United States president is going to be at this rate. So
Probably.
that's going to happen.
Probably. Yeah.
At least that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
At least we have
And
What do you mean? That's what I'm only looking forward to. Give me the Among Us map.
and even though that's been kind of given a date at this point, they're also talking about a new map that they're working on and have confirmed. It's going to be bigger than Polis, apparently, which is obviously their biggest map right now. So it's going to be a huge map. It's going to have new tasks. It's going to be themed after Henry Stickmin, which I don't know what that is. Do you guys have any idea what that is? I've never heard of that before.
Henry Stickmin.
If anyone would know, 9 would know, but I got no clue.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But then also there's apparently going to be support for a lot of...
Wait, I do know that.
Okay,
Of course she does.
It's a really old Flash game that got really popular, that had spiked in popularity recently, I think through TikTok and stuff like that, where it's one of those quick time event games, the old ones where you press E at a certain time and it does the event, all right?
Stickmin or Stickman?
Yeah. I think...
Yeah.
Was this on Addicting Games?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I remember this now. I played this back in the day.
It's actually on Steam now. Wow, it's a full blown game now.
It blew up recently because they recently released it on Steam, and he released a new one that after a while, so it blew up and it got hugely popular.
Well, I'm glad to see that they updated and aren't going to die with Adobe Flash. So that's nice.
It's good, yeah. Great for that. That game is great. Everyone who hasn't tried it, try the Flash one if it's not too late.
That's funny, man. That's so cool. Also, that map will be free to all players. It is not a DLC. I repeat, It is not a DLC. That's a free map for everybody. You have the game, guess what? Free map, updated. Bam.
Thank God.
It's already a great value game.
Absolutely. Great value game. $5? It's so much fun. You can play it for hours, right?
I can't even get coffee at Starbucks that cheap.
And then think about
$5. The game's free. The game's free on the app stores
if you
for
want,
Google and Apple.
Yeah, they're free. If you think about it, technically the full game is $5 because it comes with all the costumes for the PC.
Yeah, if you get the costumes. I chose not to get the costumes. I'm an old player.
I'm
a raw player.
I don't even use the pet anymore because it's so cheaty. Someone can just freaking see your pet rounding the corner and they know it's you know.
I never thought about that.
You. I got caught by the imposter. I got caught as imposter one round because I killed someone in medbay, and then right as I was rounding the corner into cafeteria to get away, someone just barely saw my dog trailing behind me, and I happened to be the only person with a dog in the game that time. So they just buzzed, and that was it. GG's.
But it's so adorable as it cries when you're dead.
I know. And then
yeah, it's so sad.
Stopped using a pet at that point. But anyway, they're also going to have professional translations for multiple language support. And they're also going to do full-blown colorblind support, which is going to be pretty impressive. I know a lot of people have issues with some of the tasks requiring color vision,
Colors.
especially wires and stuff like that. So that's really interesting. And then there's also, the latest update that they did recently had brought some bug fixes, as well as anonymous voting, which is, if you guys haven't played with that yet, it grays out the votes. That way you don't know who's voting for who. So
interesting. That's gonna be a new dynamic I really like.
Yep.
You
So
never
this
really
is
know.
there's also taskbar modifiers now also. So like you could make it so that way the taskbar, it doesn't go up when tasks are completed, makes it harder to, figure out who the imposter is and whatnot. So really interesting.
Oh yes. Can I finally kill people in peace? I always get caught after I kill someone.
You can. They're doing a lot here, and there's also some talk about fixing some cheating and hacking and maybe some bugs and stuff, but all of that is still kind of in the works and it's not perfected yet. So I guess we'll get more on that as the data comes in and we get closer to end of year.
I'm looking forward.
I think that's going to end up being one of the biggest games of the year. That's definitely my favorite game of the year, personally.
It's the game of 2020, hands down.
It's a 2018 game, but of 2020.
But you have to say that's a big cup to give, because like this has been the year of games since everyone's been home, right?
Yeah.
Really, video games have really spiked, and for Among Us to be the one game that sticks out among all the rest,
it does.
And there's been some great games this year, right?
I would say it's the game of the year for everyone, but the true game of the year for gamers is probably gonna be Cyberpunk. It's good.
Is that game out yet?
It's not 2020 though. It's
That's what I thought.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
No,
that game's not coming out.
Technically, it's coming out still within the financial year of 2020. If it gets delayed again, then it's screwed.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not coming out this year.
Yeah.
I think as of right now, Warzone probably ranks number one in terms of game of 2020 for hardcore gamers. But just in terms of everyone, I think Among Us is definitely number one.
I think actually Fortnite's still actually ranking number one.
You think so? Really? Okay,
yeah. They had a big boost because of their last season, which was very Marvel based, and that always ranks in people. So I think it's still heavily. But Warzone has been gaining traction because of their consistent updates and seasons, like Fortnite's doing, and they also been doing tie-ins slowly, like Fortnite, like with the Chainsaw Massacre Halloween one that we had recently, and Saw. So they're starting to like kind of get popular pop culture references and everything, and that always brings in people.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And if you guys haven't seen, I know we'll kind of try and clean up on this or finish up with this video game topic in a minute here, but I know Apex Legends has just released an update recently. Caustic gas no longer blurs your vision. You still take damage, but no longer blurs your vision. They added some type of vehicle support, I was reading. And now League of Legends new season is coming up soon, I believe, as well. So a lot going on in the gaming scene right now. A lot of updates, a lot of cool things in the works. Not really any big games except for maybe Cyberpunk that I'm particularly excited for upcoming, but in terms of current games that are out, it looks like they're receiving some nice welcome updates and whatnot.
I'm still playing games from 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I'm a patient gamer, so my game list is always 2 years, 3 years behind.
I mean,
my game's always like 10 years behind. I'm an old gamer.
And he still plays the same game 10 years ago.
It's still the same game.
Well, hold up a second. Cut yourself some slack. Come on, COD Mobile. You've been in on that scene for a little bit.
Nah, I gave up on that
about
last year.
All right.
Well, you played it. You played it.
I did play it.
You did play it. And you did play it for more than a couple of days. So
I think my latest game probably was Civ 6. And I think, and that game's still like 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That game is 4 years. I think it's 5 years old, actually.
Yeah, there you go. and I like just got it like 3 months ago.
Yeah. You're pretty. You're not even a patient gamer. You're just someone who's like, I like this. After like everyone likes it for 6 years.
I'm a passion gamer. If I like a game, I'll just keep playing.
You're just a lazy consumer. That's pretty much it.
All right. Anyway, moving on to the next story here. This is maybe a two-part story. We'll see. But so there's been this Bitcoin account that has been quiet since 2015, and its current value was $1 billion. You're talking about $975 million of valuation of Bitcoin in this wallet.
Oh my God! Like, what is that as of like today's price of like 16 grand?
Yeah, as of today's price, that's what it was valued at. Now, this account has been inactive since 2015 with $975 million in it in Bitcoin, right? So this is
some dude lost it.
It's incredible, right? So it had more than it's 69,369 Bitcoin, valued at that much, 16,000 a coin. It's incredible. So anyway, people have been monitoring this account. Obviously, some hackers have had their eyes on it, trying to break into it because that's a massive fund of money.
That's a payload.
And it was getting a lot of traction on Twitter. People could not figure out where the owner of this was, but some people were assuming that the owner of this account was related to the prior Silk Roads. And if you guys know what that was kind of the drug trafficking, online trading.
I follow that closely.
Website on the Silk Roads. Oh, I'm sorry, on the
I
Deep
follow
Web.
that closely. Yeah, I followed that closely when it was coming out and stuff like that, and posts about it.
So
it's really interesting if you don't check it out.
Anyway, you had a lot of people wondering where the money went, who got into the account. You know, if people were like, someone must have hacked it, someone must have did this, yada yada yada. People were freaking out, and then a day after, people figured out that it was actually the U.S. government Department of Justice that seized the wallet in conjunction with the Silk Road find.
Shit!
So it was the United States government that took the money out of that account, and it's I thought that was pretty crazy.
So does that mean we have the wallet of the United States government now?
I think so. Yeah, I think they have control over it.
No, but wait, I'm saying that we have the addresses now because we can see the address going to.
Yep.
Right.
We could.
Yeah.
So side note. So what you're saying here is that the U.S. government finally has my tax refund?
Yeah, I think so.
No. That got lost. Sorry.
God damn it! Like
something separate. Don't worry about it. Don't look at it. Man.
Yeah, but it looks like the investigation is still ongoing. You know, just because they can see the to and from addresses, you know, usually these things are shuffled dozens of times before people actually spend their dirty money. So
I'm really curious how they got it. I really doubt they cracked it. I think they actually got the key from him.
Well,
how?
You know, if it's part of an ongoing investigation, maybe they found some flash drives and stuff, or stole some physical items that had contained data.
Yeah.
Or if you're that intern at the Department of Justice right now who just accidentally released $1 billion of bitcoins into the market, thank you.
It was funny too because people were freaking out. They were like, before the Department of Justice was the one revealed to have found and taken control of the money. It was like, oh my God, sell off your Bitcoin now. Like everyone was anticipating a market crash because if this person, whoever found the account, tries to cash out, that's $1 billion of Bitcoin being sold all at once. That would have caused a massive tank in the price of Bitcoin. But with U.S. government control, they might eventually still try to cash out on it. But you know, they'll likely have to do things a little bit more safely. I'm sure they have some type of restrictions in terms of SEC
to be fair,
and
Bitcoin is not a regulated industry like the stock market, right?
Of course,
if the U.S. government wanted to,
right? But the government doesn't have the capability to be negligent. I think it could still be determined to have been negligence on the part of people.
Have you met the U.S. government? Like, they're nothing but negligence.
That's true. That's true. You're totally right. I don't think there's anything that necessarily keeps them from forcibly having to hold on to the cash, but in my opinion, I don't see the Department of Justice blatantly crashing the Bitcoin market. I don't see it happening.
Let's be real.
It'd be a huge lawsuit at least.
It'd be cool if it crashes, so I can crash, so I can go in.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But like, to be real with you, like, I mean, at that point, Bitcoin's at like $100 a Bitcoin. I'm down, right? But like, to be honest with you, like, by the time someone in the Department of Justice is even capable of cashing out that, like, we've seen the tech in the government, right?
Yeah.
We got at least 20, 30 years to go before someone cashes this thing out, so we're good. Like,
yeah, that's pretty true. Yep. All right. Anyway, I thought that was a pretty interesting story. It was
very interesting.
It's pretty. I was
funny though.
Just reading through it, and I was like, oh wow, I saw the first story talking about it, and then like I just happened to scroll through the next story, and I was like, oh my God, those two are connected. Like
that's pretty dope.
Just connected out of nowhere, so it was funny.
I love when that happens when you're like just uncasually reading the story. You're like, wait a minute, there's more to this, and you're not even actively looking for it. It's
like the second part of a good movie sequel, you know?
You feel like a detective. You're like, oh, the clues they're lining up.
Da Vinci Code cracked. Like,
anyway,
this is really interesting. This is really interesting.
Some new news regarding
processor
market, CPU market.
Ooh, I love.
Ooh, okay, we're interested.
AMD just launched their new Zen 3 based Ryzen 5000 CPUs.
Yes. I've been following this too.
One of their new CPUs is going to be probably the most budget friendly gaming king, or maybe just budget friendly king in general. Coming in at just $299, they're talking about getting a 20 to 30% generational gain for $300.
So can you dumb it down for the idiots like me?
Yeah, dumb it down for him.
So let's see.
Essentially, if I have to really dumb it down.
So like, what are the specs? Hit me with the specs.
Okay, hit him with the specs.
All right, Ryzen 5 5600, 6 cores, 12 threads, 3.7 gigahertz, 4.6 gigahertz boost, 32 megabytes of cache, L3 cache.
Ooh,
Draws at 65 watts, which is rather low,
that's
very
awesome.
very cost effective, $299. So
That's
a
very good,
very
actually.
competitive processor right there. I mean, as opposed to like, for example, the Intel i5 10600K, it is
Yeah.
288 with 6 cores, 4.1 gigahertz, way higher power draw, and a third the cache. So
AMD's been very. This is a very impressive CPU, I have to say, just from like I come from not the gaming
Yep.
market, but from like the GPU programming and like the machine learning market, right? This is a very, very competitive chip for like those types of markets. You got 6 cores right there. Like that's insane. 12 threads. You could run so many calculations
Yep.
with that. Like
and
quick, so quick.
The problem, typically with AMD has been that their performance per core is way lower than that on Intel, but with their newer series processors, they're really leading, and the Threadripper series and all of their Ryzen series have really been giving Intel a run for their money. And I think for the most part, when it comes to gaming, even today, as of right now, if you have money to blow, Intel will give you better performance, right? Slightly better performance, but you have to be willing to pay for it. Versus AMD is so budget friendly and can get you 60, 120, 144 FPS at 1080p, 1440p, no problem. So if you're doing productivity as well, like you said, machine learning, maybe you're better off with those multi-core architectures, weaker productivity per core, but the parallel
Especially
programming
CUDA C is so well supported with AMD chips, right?
Well,
So it's
this isn't an AMD GPU. This is a CPU specifically.
oh, okay, fine.
The thing I'm finding interesting, though, right, that I'm reading these specs right now,
Yep.
is that it's performing well in the single thread.
Yeah. Well,
which is unheard of for AMD, because usually AMD's leverage has always been add more cores, and that upsets the Intel's advantage. Because Intel's always been like, we may have less cores, but each thread performs better per thread,
and
which,
like I said,
which makes
you're
sense for
seeing
gaming.
30, upwards of 35% generational gains coming to this next 5000 generation Ryzen CPUs. That's big.
Yeah, their 5900 series performs as well, if not better, than the Intel's i9, which is unheard of. They're basically matching now.
AMD is going to be the company to beat in the future, right? Like AMD is really stepping up their game. I like what I'm seeing out of AMD over here.
And it's just friendly for the consumer too. You're talking about real affordable pricing now.
Consumer friendly, bro. Like it's amazing. 300 for a CPU this powerful. Like you're talking like you just saved like 400, 500 easily on like a solid gaming rig if you wanted to build up, right?
My CPU that I bought probably at this point is going on 4 years old. It's probably a $750 CPU, and I'm probably going to get similar performance to a $450 Ryzen CPU right now. So just put
which is insane. Yeah, which is insane if you think about it, right? Like AMD's really stepping up their game, right? And this is, I think, for AMD, I think this chip is just going to be the beginning. I think next year, the year after, a couple years down the line, AMD is going to really just run away with this market. And so I can't wait to see what they come up with next.
To be fair, though, Intel hasn't had any big players in the last couple of years. They've been, putting out CPUs. And
they got stagnant.
They always
got lazy.
perform well, but they're never, like, headlines right now. So, I mean, we'll see. Intel is going to have to pick up their game, and it's possible they do. They're still leading in sales. They still lead in market cap, I believe, right? They're just overall a bigger company with more resources, and it's very possible that this year, next year, Intel comes out with some hardcore CPUs that are going to blow AMD's out of the water. And this is the great thing about competition is we as the consumers get to keep seeing better products at lower prices. So,
100%.
And let's go.
I'm thinking about making a PC build for my brother, and I'm thinking I'm going AMD for this.
Hell, maybe I might actually build a gaming PC for once.
We'll see. Put money in your mouth. We'll see.
I just don't know where to put it, to be honest with you. That's my biggest problem.
I can find a space for you. Don't worry.
Yep. Anyway, this is another pretty new thing right here. I think that this story just dropped today as well.
Cool.
This is an EU-based story.
Is it another regulation kind of thing?
Absolutely it is. So the European Union now wants to expand regulation on big tech. And
what do they want to do this time? Where do they have to store the data now?
They're looking to kind of really crack down on competition and to force big tech companies to kind of allow for more competition. right? So, you have big tech companies like Google already talking
What do
about
you mean?
how.
Yeah, but what do you mean allow? Like, why would you ever allow a competitor into your market? Oh, come, welcome, open arms. Like it's
Yeah.
like
So I
it
Come
doesn't
think they
make
here.
any
just want
sense.
Show
they
me.
want to make them more responsible. This is the quote from the article. The Digital Services Act, due to be presented in early December, is expected to overhaul the management of content on platforms like Google and Facebook, and is the first of its kind since 2000. Broadly, the European Union wants to make tech giants more responsible for the content on their platforms and to ensure that its competitors have a fair chance to succeed against the big firms. So I think that this is going to come back into what we talked about a little while ago regarding maybe like the Google App Store and Apple in terms of like having their own apps preloaded onto the phones. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
This sounds like more towards like the acquisition market, right? Like, for example, I was reading a story today, like the US, I think it's the SEC, if I'm not wrong, right? Or the Department of Justice is blocking right now the merger that's happening between Visa and Plaid, which is a financial technology company that
Yep.
deals with credit cards. And I think it's like a $6 or $7 billion transaction. It's a big chunk of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like their main argument is, again, Visa is the powerhouse when it comes to debit card transactions around the world, not even just the United States, right? And so when they're taking away like Plaid, for example, which was going to be another processor like that, right? It kind of stifles competition. I think that's what Europe is trying to get at, is like how Facebook bought Instagram and WhatsApp and all these other companies. I think Europe wants to be in that realm of saying that, hey, you can't buy that company, right? Like it's against the rules. You know what I'm saying? Especially
Absolutely.
with more European-based companies, because European tech is going insane, right? One of the most notable European tech companies right now is Spotify, right? Spotify's freaking insane, right? When it comes to their technology and everything that they do. But again, they're being bid out by like Google's putting in bids for them, and every other company in the world is putting bids for them, right?
Yep.
So we'll see what happens.
Anyway,
but like, I guess
and if I
that's
look
what
at
they want to
this
do.
is another quote from the article I want to put out there.
Mm-hmm.
The new rules will require digital services, especially the biggest platforms, to be open about the way they shape the digital world that we see. They'll have to report on what they've done to take down illegal material, and they'll have to tell us how they decide what information and products to recommend to us, as well as which ones to hide, and give us the ability to influence those decisions instead of having them be made for us. They'll also have to tell us who's paying for the ads that we see and why we've been targeted by a certain ad. And this is a big point right here because tech companies have refused to disclose their advertising algorithms prior. So this is a brand new thing that, Google and
So
I'm
I guess
sure
this
other
really
Facebook
targets the
and
whole.
Amazon.
I guess this really targets the whole misinformation thing that we've been seeing lately over the last couple of years.
I think it's misinformation and privacy. That's what they're targeting here for the most part. And we'll see. It sounds kind of different from the original headline, but, I guess we'll have to just wait for them to propose the actual bills in December to get a better idea of what's going on here.
I'm curious on what's it called? On if the right to repair is anything listed on there at all.
Ooh, that's a good point.
I don't see anything listed here per se. Although I did hear, I don't have an article for this, but I don't know if you guys saw about this, but I believe Massachusetts recently actually got a big win. The state of Massachusetts got a big win for right to repair, and the win is regarding, I wanted to say electronic cars, where they're now going to be required.
You're going down, Tesla.
They're going to be required to release access to some type of code or computing systems to people for right to repair purposes. So that's going to be interesting.
If that is a thing, right? I'm not going to quote you on this because we're not entirely certain on this, and it's not part of Techcast for this week. But if that is true, and that's a huge win, because this goes back to like, now we're going back to like the 70s and 80s, where you could literally go to like your local AutoZone or auto car shop, pick up your car's like repair manual, right?
Yep.
And go and like build and fix your car up and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're getting to that point again, which is really nice, that like, hey, I just bought this beat up old Tesla off the street for like $400. I can go and swap out the battery and do a bunch of crazy stuff myself.
We'll see,
and
though,
boom.
right? Because, I mean, you got to keep in mind, is Tesla willing to risk a lot of their repair market as well as a lot of their trade secret information in order to do business in just Massachusetts? Or does Tesla just say, hey, you know what? Doing business in Massachusetts isn't worth giving up all of our trade secrets and giving up all of our repair information. So
hey, if not Tesla, someone else is gonna. Yeah, but like I said, like if not Tesla, capitalism at its finest, right? then a new competitor is going to come into play. Maybe it's, the Prius. I don't know.
The Prius?
Maybe it's a high-tech Camry, right? I've seen Toyota been doing crazy stuff there, right?
Yep.
Or maybe that Volkswagen Volt or Chevy Volt, right? Maybe it's one of those cars. Like, some competitor is going to come in.
It is true. Someone will inevitably fill that gap, but at the same time, you have to be careful because, Tesla's big in the electric car market. They have a lot of influence and power. They might try to eat up any companies that do stuff like that or stop things, and they have some of the power to do it. So we'll have to kind of see how it goes, and
it's going to be real fascinating.
It's going to be an interesting fight to see.
Tesla, I think, is arguably the most popular electric car as well, and a lot of people, if they're going to get an electric car, they want their Teslas. So you might actually see people in the future moving out of state to purchase their cars, right? So now Massachusetts is going to miss out on all of that income tax, or I'm sorry, all of the sales tax on those cars. Massachusetts.
Hey, people do that now. Like people do that now. Like people in Manhattan buy their cars in actually New Jersey and then drive it into Manhattan because the tax purposes, right? Yeah. So it's similar concept. So yeah, I definitely see that happening as well.
So it's an interesting story as well.
I still want a Tesla.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan.
I don't know how I feel. We can save that for another day. Anyway, this is a big story, actually. I know you guys were really excited for this, and we talked about this a little bit earlier this week.
Yeah.
The Raspberry Pi 400.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy
they
you included
have now just released plans to release a $70 keyboard with a built-in PC. This is really the first of its kind, okay? You're talking about a standalone keyboard that has a computer built into it. You have your I/O ports and whatnot on the keyboard. You plug in, that's it. Throw it in your bag, keyboard, done. It's crazy.
Well, I'm going to correct you on that one, right? Because the original PCs and stuff, right, started like this. It was literally a computer embedded inside a keyboard for Linux terminals, right? Unix terminals, right? So that's how the original...
Okay.
That's how the original system started. But now what you're talking about here, though, it's definitely game-changing because we've already talked about the Raspberry Pi 4 in the past. I think it's 8 gigabytes of RAM.
Yep.
You have an insane server build on it. You even have Ubuntu support on it, and now you have a keyboard that's attached to it. Literally, all you need is a mouse. If you even want that, you can just alt-tab everything, right? And just throw that sucker in your backpack, and boom, that's your computer at wherever you are in the world.
It's so nuts. It's so cool.
It's gonna be a game changer, and all your ports are included on there. You want fast internet? Bang! Plug the Ethernet into your keyboard. You want a better monitor? Boom! There it is. You want dual monitor? Boom! You're done.
Damn.
Right?
Yep.
USB. I think it even supports USB 4.0 or 3.0? Super fast data transfer speeds. It even has a USB-C port on it. So if you even want to get up to a gig of memory transfer speeds, it's insane. Right, and this is all from a keyboard that you get from $70. Literally, this $70, it's a computer. So this $70 computer beats the 90% of laptops you have on the market now, right? Yep. So it's
in
insane.
terms of value, yeah, they do. In terms of value for price per point, yeah, definitely does.
Absolutely does, right? Raspberry Pi, I think within the next couple of years, right? Raspberry Pi is going to be the next PC, crazy
revolution.
Master. Yeah.
100%. I think so too. I just like the idea of them trying new things and making it affordable. It's not about just pure power, but it's about having a capable computer and a very approachable and a very easy way to modify and work with. It's so adaptable.
And you could even buy preloaded Raspberry Pis, right? That have the computer operating system already on it. So you don't even have to be a techie or a geek to actually set one of these things up. You literally could just plug it in and go.
I think that I'll make a bold prediction here. I think going into the future, you will see Raspberry Pi network storage options with gigabit Ethernet cards and expandable storage in terms of SATA or M2 or some type of adapter for that. That could be a possible game changer. If a small form factor like that, maybe you build it into a hard drive enclosure where you can put in 4 or 5 hard drives. You could end up with the cheapest NAS in existence.
Damn.
So it's
I didn't even think of that.
Raspberry Pi's got some really cool stuff and big possibilities I'd like to see, and I really hope they keep expanding with stuff like this. This is really cool.
And if this is what the Pi 4 is, I cannot wait to see what the Pi 5 is going to look like.
Although do keep
10
in
times
mind
bigger.
they continually get more expensive, right? You're at $70 price point now. They've been
It makes sense.
increasing in price steadily.
You gotta have increased cost for increased performance. It just comes one in hand. I still think the price you pay equals to the performance you're expected to get, especially when you compare stuff to like the Chromebooks, which I think is the only real competitor at that price point, and it still beats them out of the water.
Oh, it beats Chromebooks way out of the water. I have a Chromebook, so I can tell. I have a Chromebook and a Raspberry Pi 4, so I can tell you from experience. The Pi 4 blows it out of the water.
Not to mention these Chromebooks, the thing that really hinders them is their OS, the Chrome OS, right? Which is very, I would say, for someone who really wants to not support it, not only... Plus, it doesn't really give you a full desktop experience. Yep. Well, now we just mentioned in the last one of the
full
Ubuntu support.
Windows
so that's
IoT,
a game
Windows
changer.
Lite.
Windows IoT, you're talking about now full desktop support for a Chromebook price, even cheaper than most Chromebooks. Actually, now I have to add.
And by the way, Chromebooks are a major RAM hog, right? So it's like just having like.
Well, of course, it's a Chrome book.
Yeah,
right.
It's a name. They're warning you.
I don't want to get caught up here too much, but we've got one more big story and then one more small story. I'll just give a quick overview of this small story, which I thought was pretty cool.
Cool. Hit us with it.
So this is a MIT research regarding COVID-19. They have this cough detector which is able to identify 97% of COVID-19 cases, even in asymptomatic people, based on the hoarseness of their cough and other indicators when it comes to you coughing and whatnot. So let's. I was reading through this a little bit before. It even seemed like they have relatively low false positive ratios regarding the comments in the thread and whatnot. So the actual article itself doesn't seem to talk too much about the false positive ratio, but assuming that the comments are fairly accurate, it seems like it could be pretty interesting. And I mean, maybe when you scale above the 2,500 test cases they had in this specific example, maybe you'll start seeing some more false positives. It's totally plausible. But in terms of this initial test on the unit, it seems to have been pretty impressive. So
is this what they're going to throw into the Alexas to detect COVID-19?
They could. Who knows? They really could. Very well could.
Detect the COVIDs for me.
Anyway, like I said, don't have too much more time, so I want to just kind of breeze through that. If you guys are interested in that, you can just go ahead and look that up. Anyway, last article for the day. We're very close to being out of time here. We're already a little bit over, so we'll make it kind of snappy. But I know we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but Proposition 22 was just accepted in California. And essentially what this is going to do is it's going to overturn the overturned rule in California that forced Uber, Lyft, Postmate drivers to be listed as employees. Ooh. So now that this proposition has kind of been approved and passed by the voters, you're going to see that all of their employees are able to remain contractors. So, they kind of
now I have a question. I have a question because you track this stuff better than we do, right? So I'm sure it was probably like a low-level court that accepted Prop 22. And now, was this like a district level or like a federal level court that overturned
let's see. I'm not exactly certain where this was actually. Let's see. The Associated Press projected early Wednesday that Prop 22 had carried 58% of the vote. Prop 22 faced the strongest opposition in San Francisco, where Uber and Lyft have their headquarters, with more than a 19-point deficit. The vote resolves the fiercest regulatory battle that Uber and Lyft have faced, opens path for companies to remake labor laws. Apparently, the companies spent over $200 million in order to get this passed and campaign.
God damn it, they're already broke.
Yeah, they're dead.
I'm not quite seeing where this is.
Okay, no.
This was. Maybe, I think it was a statewide venture, so it must have just been cross-state. Although, think about this.
That's fair enough.
They spent $200 million to make this happen. But Uber's stock price climbed 14% on Wednesday, and Lyft's climbed 11% by end of day.
Really?
So you're talking about major stock price increases in exchange for $200 million, and in those companies, that might actually just make up for
that. That might make or break their Christmas quarter,
Yeah, absolutely. So that's really interesting. So, any feedback on that?
It's exciting to see. You know, I'm not too familiar with like this whole Prop 22 stuff. Like, I understand the base foundations of it, right? But it's interesting to see what's gonna happen, right? Like, I understand where people are coming from on both sides of the aisle when it comes to this. So it'll be interesting to see how it really all plays out. But I think it's definitely going to be like we've been seeing with Epic and Apple, right? I know we haven't mentioned that in a while, but like it's going to be appealed. It's going to go through its processes again. It's going to go. I don't know where it's going to finally end up, but honestly, the way I see Prop 22, I see Prop 22 going all the way to the Supreme Court at one point.
We'll see. We'll see. It's an interesting one. I personally think that this will probably stay like this for quite some time. I don't think that now is the time for them to really mess with this. You know, you have the whole pandemic going on. You know, you don't
I
want
agree.
to put all of those people out of work because Uber already said that they're going to have to stop operating in that, you know, in all of California for a set of months in order to comply with those rules, right? And they employ tens of thousands of people in California. Maybe not. Maybe they don't employ them technically, right? But they contract.
I remember when we were
thousands
in California. Yeah, like when we were in California, we only got around with Uber,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Or
It's
Lyft.
just Uber. So, I mean, can you really afford to put all those people out of work right now? That's a tough
not right
thing to
now.
do.
Probably
I
not.
think this is maybe one of the reasons why you saw this get passed. You know, and it rolled back those rule changes. Maybe they'll see another take on it in the future, but I think at least for now, with all the other crazy stuff going on in politics and you know, the pandemic and whatnot, the world literally turning upside down at the moment. So I think you'll probably see that this is going to sit here for at least a year at this point. I don't think they'll go back to it for at least another year. So,
All right, it'll be interesting to see. But I think we're out of time.
yeah,
right,
we're
Ford?
actually a little over.
Yeah.
So
We're a little over, yeah.
yeah, I think that was I really liked the stories from this week. I think there's a lot of fun, interesting stuff. Nothing too overwhelming or crazy, but some really cool things. So we appreciate you guys listening. And you know, like we said, we're going to be kind of postponing our regularly scheduled Monday episodes for a little bit, and we'll keep you updated on the status of those. But for now, we will see you next week during Techcast Friday. So have a good one.
No worries.
Bye-bye.
Catch you
Take care,
later,
guys.
guys.
Bye.